Jerry Jeudy, we need you to get back to the Jerry Jeudy of 2024 because 2025 was not it. It was so loud, he had to do the celebration like this. I didn't hear nobody, he cutting out all the noise. What does Todd Monken need to do, and what do you project, Zach, in terms of what do you see for Jerry Jeudy this year? Is this going to be an uptick, or is it going to be some of the same inconsistency?
I think he's always kind of been the same because the spikes have been high, but the lows have been low, and they were lower last year, right? And even in 2024, when he ended up having the big season, what did he do the first half of the season? No, it wasn't a real NFL offense. You want me to be a believer in Todd Monken as this offensive miracle worker, or even a guru?
Right.
Those are my words, but let's be honest. Then let's see Jerry Jeudy have one of those seasons. The Browns are still committed to him. They could not trade him if they wanted to. They acquired him for nothing. They immediately extended him, and everybody said, "What are you doing?"
Something isn't adding up with Jerry Jeudy. And if you've been watching closely, you can feel that tension building. Every season, the flashes are there. The routes are clean. The separation looks elite. And for a moment, you think, this is it. This is the breakout. But then something stalls. The production doesn't match the talent. The consistency disappears. And suddenly, you're left wondering whether this is a system issue or something deeper. Now enter Todd Monken, and suddenly this entire conversation changes. Because if there's one coach who can either unlock Jeudy or expose his limitations, it's Monken. And that's why 2026 isn't just another season, it's a verdict.
Jerry Jeudy, we need you to get back to the Jerry Jeudy of 2024 because 2025 was not it. It was so loud, he had to do the celebration like this. I didn't hear nobody, he cutting out all the noise.
So let's set the stage properly. Jerry Jeudy came into the league with one of the most polished route-running profiles we've seen in years. At Alabama, he wasn't just good, he was surgical. Defensive backs looked lost trying to mirror his cuts, and analysts were already calling him one of the safest receiver prospects in his class. But the NFL hasn't been that smooth. Between quarterback instability, coaching changes, and offensive schemes that never fully played to his strengths, Jeudy has been stuck in this weird middle ground where he's clearly talented but not consistently impactful. Here's the part nobody is talking about. The NFL doesn't care about your potential after a certain point. There's a window where you're allowed to develop, to figure things out, to adjust to the speed of the game. But once you're past that phase, teams expect results. Not flashes, not highlights, results. And heading into 2026, Jeudy is right at that crossroads. This is no longer about what he could be. It's about what he actually is.
I kind of had the thought process that the fans walked away okay with Jerry Jeudy. They was cool with it. All right, cool. He was productive. We can live with this. And then last season comes, and last season was a total disaster. The drops were crazy. The attitude, the body language was crazy.
Now, this is where Monken comes in and why his role is so critical. Monken's offensive philosophy isn't random or chaotic, it's structured, intentional, and designed to create clarity for skill players. He emphasizes spacing, timing, and route discipline, which is exactly the kind of environment a receiver like Jeudy needs. Monken doesn't just call plays, he builds systems that force defenses to make impossible choices. And when that happens, receivers who can separate quickly become extremely valuable. Let's break this down from a football perspective. Jeudy's biggest strength is his ability to win early in routes. He doesn't need to out-muscle defenders. He beats them with technique, footwork, and precision. That means he thrives in offenses that prioritize timing routes, like slants, outs, and digs. Monken's system leans heavily into those concepts, often using motion and formations to create free releases. That's a perfect match on paper.
I think that with Todd Monken aboard, he's going to look at the tape and look at what Jerry Jeudy does best and where he was utilized the most and where he had the most success. And I kind of envision him. I know we talk about Isaiah Bond a lot.
This is where it gets dangerous, because when the fit looks this good, expectations skyrocket. Suddenly, there are no more excuses. If Jeudy struggles in a system that is literally designed to highlight his strengths, then the conversation shifts from he's being misused to maybe this is his ceiling. And that's a brutal shift for any player. Now, let's talk numbers for a second. Jeudy has had seasons where he's shown he can produce, but it's never been consistent across an entire year. Drops, missed connections, and stretches where he disappears from the offense have held him back. And while some of that can be blamed on quarterback play, not all of it can. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They assume talent alone will carry them through inconsistencies. But at the NFL level, consistency is everything. The difference between a good receiver and a great one isn't talent, it's reliability.
Even on the play where Shedeur hit him and he fumbled the ball, right? So, like, if Todd Monken can see what he does well, exploit that, and put him in those situations, and he put in the work himself, then this can be one of those redemption seasons for Jerry Jeudy.
Because this is where the narrative starts to escalate. If Monken can unlock Jeudy, it changes the entire offense. Suddenly, defenses can't just focus on one or two options. They have to respect Jeudy as a legitimate threat. That opens up space for everyone else, creates better matchups, and makes the offense more unpredictable. But if he doesn't take that step, then the Browns have a problem, because you can't build a high-level offense around uncertainty at the receiver position.
And the Cleveland Browns and Todd Monken will have no issue replacing him with anybody that's coming out next year if this man doesn't produce to the level he needs to. So.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. Confidence plays a massive role in all of this. When a receiver starts strong, when the timing is right, when the quarterback trusts him, everything looks easy. But when that rhythm breaks, it can spiral quickly. Routes get rushed, hands get tight, and suddenly the same player who looked elite looks average. Monken's system can help create opportunities, but it can't manufacture confidence. That has to come from Jeudy himself. This is where it gets dangerous, because the NFL is always looking for the next guy. If Jeudy doesn't establish himself, someone else will. Younger receivers, faster receivers, more physical receivers, they're all coming in every year, ready to take those opportunities. And once a player starts getting labeled as inconsistent, it becomes harder and harder to shake that reputation. Now, let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture. This isn't just about one player or one season. It's about legacy. What kind of career is Jeudy going to have? Is he going to be remembered as a player who never quite reached his potential, or as someone who figured it out and became a key piece of a winning team? Those questions start getting answered in seasons like this. And again, the NBA gives us a perfect parallel. Think about players who were once labeled as underachievers, only to find the right system and completely change their narrative. It happens all the time. But it also goes the other way. Players who never adapt, who never find that consistency and slowly fade out of relevance. Jeudy is right in the middle of that fork in the road. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They try to do too much. Instead of mastering their role, they chase highlights, they force plays, they try to prove something. But the players who succeed at this level understand that greatness comes from doing the simple things consistently, running the right route at the right depth, being where the quarterback expects you to be, catching the ball every time it comes your way. It sounds basic, but it's what separates the best from the rest. And let's not ignore the pressure coming from the organization itself. When a team invests in a player, they expect a return, not just in stats, but in impact. If Jeudy becomes a reliable weapon in Monken's system, it validates the decision to bring him in and build around him. But if he doesn't, then questions start being asked not just about him, but about the direction of the offense as a whole. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Monken's reputation is also on the line here. If he's seen as a coach who can maximize talent, then getting the best out of Jeudy becomes part of that narrative. But if Jeudy struggles under his system, people will start questioning whether Monken's approach works at this level. So this isn't just a test for the player, it's a test for the coach too.